Hello everyone, my name is Melinda Jennison and I've prepared this Brisbane property market update today to help you understand what's actually happening here in Brisbane, to cut through the media headlines. But I'm wanting to share some of the latest data, but also to help you understand what we're actually seeing on the ground, because quite often that is more relevant and it is ahead of the data. So I hope you enjoy this update. Let's get started. First of all, we're going to start with days on market. Now, this is information that has been extracted from CoreLogic. We can see that in Brisbane, days on market has more than doubled over the last 12 months. If we look at where we were 12 months ago, an average of 13 days on the market compared to today, which is 34 days on the market. So this is January 2023 versus January 2022. Now, you'll recall in Brisbane that we had a rising market until around June 2022. So this is often a reflection of a seller's inability or non-willingness to meet the market, but it's also a reflection of buyers who become more nervous. So typically we see days on market trend higher when market conditions are not as strong. Now, if we double this up with listing volumes, we do know in Brisbane that listing volumes are very low at the moment. If we look at the last period of time, so up until the 29th of January, listing volumes in Brisbane were 22.5% below the same period 12 months prior. So this is new listings. Now, that's not a surprise to us, because during Christmas and New Year of the 2021-2022 period, because our market was a very hot market, we saw a lot of sales agents continue to list their properties for sale, and we saw a lot of buyers continue to be active in that market at that time. Now, this year, over Christmas and New Year, we saw a lot of sales agents take a well-deserved break, and equally we saw a lot of buyers ease back from being active in the market throughout December, and they only came back actively in the early months of the year, in the early weeks of the year in January. When we look at the total listing volume change, we see in Brisbane total listings are up 3.2%. Now, what this tells us is that there's more older listings sitting on the market because we can see that there has been a retraction in those new listings. So typically we're seeing that buyers are becoming more picky and choosy about what they are looking to purchase. And this often happens in a more normal market as well, where buyers are not just going to have FOMO and bid on everything. They're going to be more selective in what they're choosing to look at. Now, whilst we've got very low listing volumes, buyer demand has actually increased in 2023. We're seeing that on the ground through the volume of buyers inspecting open homes. We're starting to see lineups again in some parts of the Brisbane City Council region for quality properties. We're also seeing that there's other market indicators through auction attendance that I'm going to share with you on the next slide. But PropTrack data also confirms, based on the volume of people looking at listings on realestate.com.au, that between September to December, so the spring selling season of 2022 and today, we've actually seen a decrease in the demand per listing on an annual basis of negative 7.9%. So from our peak, negative 7.9% change in demand, but from spring through to today, 19.4% increase in the potential buyers per listing. So we've seen this increase occur in the first couple of months of 2023. Other demand indicators, auction data. This is pulled through from Apollo Auctions, who are a Brisbane-based auction firm who hire out their auctioneers for sales agents to use for auctions across the city. Now, their numbers indicate that auction attendance has been increasing month on month, 28 in January, 33.8 in February. These numbers are both much higher than what the trends we observed in the spring season of 2022. Registered bidders. In Brisbane, you must be registered to bid at auction. It's an indication of the number of buyers that are willing to purchase the property under auction conditions. An average number of 2.5 registered bidders in January versus 4.9 in February. And then active bidders, that is the percentage of registered bidders that actually put their hand up and bid on the day. We've had 58.6% active bidders in January compared to 60.35% in February. So we're certainly seeing a trend where market conditions are improving in terms of that buyer activity here in Brisbane. Now, what's happening to house values? We always hear about dwelling values. That's what makes the news headlines, and I'm going to break it down now into house values and unit values in Brisbane. This is CoreLogic data, and this is data up to the end of February 2023. You can see across the month, we've had a price retraction of negative 0.4%. This is a lot less than the month of January, where we saw price retraction of negative 1.4% in Brisbane for housing. Quarterly change, negative 3.7% in Brisbane. Again, we've seen a huge deceleration in the rate of price declines happening, and we're starting to see this market bottom out effectively in terms of property values. Annual change in housing in Brisbane, negative 8.6%. Now, I wanted to point out that this is CoreLogic data because we now have the ability to track monthly home value changes through PropTrack data as well. So two competing data houses, and unfortunately they're not actually showing the same trends. When we look at PropTrack data for Brisbane, we've seen price increases in the housing sector throughout the month of February of 0.09%. So this is a very slow, modest growth, but it does show a trend that is no longer a retracting market. And it's very important for buyers to understand that this is what's happening in the data. Annual change in housing values, according to PropTrack in Brisbane, has been down negative 2.53%. So the trend here is not as severe as the trend according to that CoreLogic data. But unit values are showing a different trend. So when we look at CoreLogic values, the unit market has not actually changed at all throughout the month of February. Quarterly change, only very minor at negative 0.7%. And we've got an annual increase in the value of units across all of Greater Brisbane of 3.5%. So not all markets are doing the same thing. Perhaps buyers are attracted to affordability. And again, not all parts of the market will be trending in the same way as the median value at a citywide level either. So you need to be very aware of that as we run through some of these data sets. Unit values, according to PropTrack, we've seen the second consecutive month of price growth. Here, 0.3% monthly growth in the unit market, showing 4.73% annual growth. Now, of course, we've always got to consider what's happening in the rental market. In Brisbane, there is a rental crisis. Vacancy rates are very low, sitting at 0.8% in January 2023, after a seasonal spike to 1.1% in December. But you can see since the peak of the market, or rather the peak of the supply for properties available for rent in Brisbane, that was in 2017, we've had a declining vacancy rate. So fewer properties available for rent, and we really don't have enough properties available for the number of tenants that are looking. And we're hearing that through property managers that are reporting multiple applications on most properties that become available for rent. Of course, limited supply in the rental market, but high demand is pushing rents up. We've seen rental price growth now more significant in the unit market compared to the housing market. So houses across the last 12 months have seen 11.9% rental price growth. Units, 15.6% rental price growth. However, different segments of the market, different locations across Brisbane have actually changed either a lot more or slightly less than these median value figures. Again, it does depend on where you are considering looking for a property to rent. We're certainly seeing some of the inner city rental markets achieve very strong rents, upward of 25 to 30% change year on year when new tenants are actually put in place. So that's a big shift for people that are in the rental market, and it's a big change in the amount of money that people are allocating towards their living costs. So what are we seeing on the ground? We've got an undeniable shift in buyer activity throughout 2023. We're seeing more activity on the ground. The volume of buyers has increased, but we're also still seeing some nervous buyers. So there's good buying opportunities because a lot of buyers are looking, but not yet shopping. So they're curious about the market, but not yet actually transacting in the market. We believe some buyers are still looking for bargains, but we're not seeing any evidence of forced selling. And in fact, what we're seeing is sellers are holding out for the price that they're looking to achieve. And that's why the days on market indicator is trending higher. I hope that's been helpful to give you an understanding of what is actually happening here in Brisbane. If you're interested in a more detailed summary, please head to our website there, streamlineproperty.com.au. My full market update is available, including all of the graphs that you've seen today and more. And we look forward to being in touch again next month with our next update. Thank you so much. Bye for now.